Good evening. A 45-year-old man, a cousin of the killer Frederick West, is on trial at Birmingham Crown Court accused of raping 4 girls. William Hill has pleaded not guilty to 4 charges of rape and 4 charges of indecent assault.
William Hill, who's also known as John Hill, tried to hide his face from the television crews as he left the court with his wife on the first day of the trial. According to one witness at the trial, Hill was an overbearing and violent bully who made her promise not to tell anybody about the alleged attack on her. A cousin of the mass murderer Fred West, Hill was in his 20s at the time of the alleged incidents which the prosecution claims took place at Old Pike Cottages, the home he shared with his aunt at Muchmarcle in Herefordshire. Hill's alleged to have attacked the girls on separate occasions while they stayed at the house during different periods between 1976 and 1983. The prosecution claims Hill used to drive the girls around the countryside near his home in his 3-wheeler. The defence claimed the first witness was mistaken about what took place, while the second witness was said to have made up the story of being raped at Hill's former home. Hill, who now lives in Ledbury, pleads not guilty to 4 charges of rape and 4 charges of indecent assault. The trial is continuing. Mike Hilbane, Midlands Today, Birmingham Crown Court.
A Midlands man who suffered a collapsed lung says his doctors have told him it may have been because he went on a £12 million roller coaster ride at Alton Towers. The theme park has dismissed the claims.
Neil Satchwell spent 6 days in hospital with a collapsed lung and has been told he'll now probably always suffer from breathlessness. He says the doctors who treated him thought his ride on Oblivion a week earlier may have triggered his condition.
I had violent chest pains and just the pain shooting up my arm and across my neck, as if I was having a heart attack. That's what it felt like. I didn't even think it would be the ride, but then they said it could have been a possibility because it's the drop in altitude apparently.
Alton Towers is unconvinced.
We have a very strict health and safety policy at Alton Towers, and we would never run any ride at all if we felt there was any issue about illness or injury that could result from it.
There is a safety notice at the entrance to the ride. It warns the public that the ride's not suitable for pregnant women and those with heart, neck and back problems. But Alton Towers also says that it's partly up to the public to make sure that they know they're well when they go on the ride. Alton Towers says after 300,000 rides and no complaints, Oblivion is safe. Liz Munro, Midlands Today, Staffordshire.
Police in Warwickshire have been given another 24 hours to question a driver in connection with the deaths of 2 men in Leamington Spa. They died when they were hit by a pickup truck in the town centre on Monday evening. Detectives say they're treating their deaths as murder. Aston Villa will play in next season's UEFA Cup after Chelsea beat Stuttgart 1-0 in the Cup Winners' Cup. And Northampton Town are through to the second division playoff final after a 3-0 victory over Bristol Rovers. That's 4-3 on aggregate. That's the news from the Midlands Today newsroom for tonight. From all of us here, a very good evening to you.
Good evening to you. It was a scorcher today, at least it was in some parts of the country, everywhere from central Scotland to the south coast. Temperatures into the 80s. But now we're having to pay for it because just recently we've had some thunderstorms rumbling across the channel, developing in Wales. We've even seen some very large hailstones and some pretty nasty driving conditions. So that's the message really for the next few hours, especially in Wales, but also in parts of southern England, more particularly from West Sussex westwards. Do take care on the roads, especially in and around those really vicious storms. And we're going to find some storms around, not only in southern England but in Wales, and later on in the night they're going to trundle across into parts of the Isle of Man, Northern Ireland and into western Scotland. And also later on in the night it's going to turn grey and misty, quite murky across much of the rest of the country as it has done the last few nights. But a fairly warm night for most areas, a little bit chillier along that east coast. Tomorrow we may still have some of those residual thundery showers lurking around in southern areas, but more particularly I think by that time across into Ireland, Northern Ireland and western Scotland. Everywhere else starting off quite grey and overcast, but I think more readily than of late the sun will break through, and even eventually on the east coast we're going to find some sunny spells, but also at the same time in the more western areas those thundery showers getting their act together again. So we're not only going to find them in western Scotland and Northern Ireland, but more cropping up later on in Wales and the southwest, perhaps down into the Channel Islands as well. A little bit more of an easterly breeze picking up, so that will peg the temperatures down along the east coast there, but in the more sheltered central and western areas, another very warm day indeed, up to 25 or 26 degrees. Now we also have some poor air quality, high air pollution across much of England and Wales, but that's going to change in the next few days because these fronts are going to come across from the east introducing cleaner and fresher air, but with high pressure still with us, at least it should stay fine and dry, because that cleaner, fresher air will eventually, I think, come Friday into the first part of Saturday, push the last of those thundery showers out of the way, and then most parts of the country for the weekend dry with a good deal of sunshine, albeit a cool breeze. A very good night.